I were married at 19 and officially divorced at 45 5 years ago. Before the divorce was finalized, I was given a lump sum payment, and he was ordered to pay me several $1,000s a month every month for the next 26 years. Now he wants me to start giving the money back to please his fiancée, since she apparently sees it as him keeping a connection with his ex, and money that he should be spending on his future instead of his past. But it's court-ordered, so I don't understand the logic there. And honestly, I don't really want to. In fact, I already said I wasn't going to. And that is in part due to the fact that I'd like to give him another middle finger while I have the chance. Basically, it's just to spite him. But my sister says I'm wrong for not moving on, since he's already paid me enough money the last 5 years to retire on, not to mention the initial lump sum. Edit. Divorce was initiated by him after he decided his personal assistant would make a better partner than me. Now for the top comments. Not today home. But personally, I would send a thank you note every month to your ex and his girlfriend with photos of what you do or plan to do with a month's money. I'm polite that way. This is an excellent idea. However, I would make sure to give some to charity and share all the good his money is doing in the world. Maybe to a charity that he really hates, but that still does good work. Or to a political candidate he opposes. Not today home. Stick with a court order. If you start with one exception, and this is a big one, he's going to keep demanding more. However, I would suggest saving as much as you can. I wouldn't put it past him to just stop paying and force the issue back to court, or to try to fudge a bankruptcy to get out of paying, or otherwise try to squirrel out of this. Have money ready for a lawyer if needed. This is the thing to do. If you can live off your income, do so and save all the payments for your retirement, or you fully funding your IRA, an emergency, a new car, or just to have to feel financially secure. Not stay home. Alimony was awarded because it's what's owed to you to maintain your lifestyle in the time you spent with the a-hole during your prime earning years. The only change I'd make is accepting a lump sum equal to the next 21 years plus interest today, because it would cut all ties with him. That way, his fiancée gets what she wants, a less wealthy man with no connections with his ex. That's what my uncle did. He was ordered to pay alimony, which I thought was deserved, but I digress, for about 15 years after his divorce. Him and his ex negotiated a lump sum option, and they threw a new car to get her to agree. It was the full amount plus a conservative interest, and they were happy to cut ties and move on. My former aunt was free to get remarried without it affecting her alimony, and they have a cordial relationship now that their kids are all adults. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for saying I prefer sushi to children? Okay, so straight to it. My husband and I, both in our early 30s, have been together for over a decade and made the decision to not have kids. I like kids. I have nieces and nephews. We just don't want them for our own reasons. He had a vasectomy which only a few people know about. Our families are aware we don't want kids, as they've asked this before during different major life events. Our wedding, for instance. We recently bought a 3-bedroom home with a nice yard at a nice area. Excited to show our new home to family and friends, major upgrade to our previous home. We hosted a housewarming. During the party, one of my sibling-in-laws, Alex, made a few indirect comments about all the space, and kids would love it in our house, etc. Eventually, they asked point blank when we were having kids. I made a light-hearted joke about it, which is my go-to for this question. Oh well, I like sushi too much to have to give it up for a pregnancy. Plus not drinking for pregnancy and breastfeeding? No thanks. I try to make it very light-hearted and laugh it off, but most people just laughed along. That seemed to anger Alex, and I was told that children are a joy, and a good mother puts her kids before everything else. I agreed. Children are a joy. I like spending time with the nieces and nephews. And obviously, I can't be a good mom if I chose sushi over kids, so I just won't be a mom. Paraphrased. Still trying to brush it off in a gentle way, because I'm not trying to start a fight by telling them to stop asking in front of everyone, because I know my tone will be seen as rude and abrasive. We move on, but Alex is still annoyed, and making little comments in their group about how flippant I am about it and how when it finally happens, then I'll understand. My husband heard this and said jokingly, well, if she gets pregnant, that'll be a problem for the divorce lawyers. That seemed to piss them off more, but they stopped. With holidays coming up, we have not been invited to Alex's usual Halloween bonfire. When husband spoke to his parents, they told him Alex was annoyed that we were so careless and callous about our child-free status, and to say what we did. And they realized we had taken permanent steps to ensure we never had kids. That we know they had to do IVF to have kids, etc. And we are a-holes to just not care. I feel bad because they did do IVF and lots of fertility treatments to have their kids, and even then they still had a few miscarriages. Can't imagine wanting kids and struggling to have them and then deal with miscarriages. But at the same time, I'm so tired of justifying living with my life how I want. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. A good mother puts her children before anything else is a really weird thing to say to someone who isn't even a parent. Your non-existent children have more rights than you. An adult and a very much alive woman. Alex, probably. Way too many kids in foster care to force women to give birth to children they don't even want. This thinking makes me sad. Just because they had difficulty having children don't mean they get to judge you for choosing to not have children. Regardless, they also don't get to bring up the topic then act hurt when you give an honest, non-offensive answer. I empathize with people who have difficulty having children, but that empathy stops the moment they start acting like the rest of us are obligated to have kids, simply because of their problems. You don't get to be mad or offended by someone else's choice not to have kids, and especially not when you're the one who keeps bringing the issue up in the first place. Not today, home. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Alex was being nosy and rude, and you treated their obnoxious intrusion into your personal private lives with far more grace than it really deserved. I was trying to be polite so I didn't embarrass them in front of both our families and friends. My friends did say I should have just been rude and made them feel like jerks for prying. In a last large social setting, I'm faster to shut it down. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my ex that if he's so concerned about Christmas, he can buy our daughter her gifts? I have a 14-year-old daughter, Alice. Her father, John, and I are separated, and as far as dads go, he's not the best, but he claims he tries, despite not having so much as sent her a birthday card since she was 6. I recently injured myself and I'm currently not fit for work, so I'm now getting disability payments that is about 3 times less than what I was earning in my job, so we're on a pretty tight budget, and I'm not able to save for Christmas this year as I normally do. My daughter told me she wanted a Nintendo Switch and a few games for it for Christmas back in August. I asked her around this time to start saving. And even though she's disappointed that it's not a viable option anymore, she understands that we're on a budget and that she needs to choose something on the lower end of the price spectrum. She managed to find a second-hand 3DS that comes with games, including ones she wanted for the Switch, for a really good price, and she's happy with that. She casually mentioned to her father, in one of the video calls he actually answered, that she wasn't able to get her original gift idea, but she found a more cost-effective one, and she's happy with it. He asked to speak to me, and when my daughter brought me out her phone, he started berating me, saying I needed to return to work so my daughter can have the Christmas she deserves. I told him, John, you haven't seen Alice in person in 2 years, and you haven't sent her a gift, a card, or even a happy birthday in nearly a decade. If you were so concerned about our daughter getting the Christmas she deserves, maybe you can pay the court-mandated child maintenance that you haven't paid in 5 years. Or you can buy the presents yourself since you claim to be earning $1,000 a week. He hung up the phone and texted my daughter saying not to call him for a while as he's extremely angry. She's glad I stood up to him, but she's upset that he doesn't want to speak to her and is angry with me because I caused that. Am I the a-hole? No. Who the hell does he think he is talking to you like that when he doesn't even do the bare minimum? Also, he's going to punish your daughter because you called him out? What a prick. Not the a-hole, and neither is the daughter, even though the dad is trying to pin it on her as well. You need to get with the courts and make sure they know he isn't paying. They know, but he lives in a different country, so not much can be done. That sucks. I'm sorry. Definitely have a talk with your daughter, though. She's 14. She knows it's not your fault, but she's angry and can't express her anger at the actual person she's mad at. More than just having a talk, see if you can get her in therapy. This might not be the budget currently, but there might be a school counselor. Or once you can work again. My husband has an absentee father, and it does damage, and she could use some help with that. I don't know if your daughter is in a place to hear this yet, but it is probably time you have a talk with her about gaslighting and victim blaming. Not that she is guilty of it, but her father's using it and she's falling for it. She should be able to see that you did not cause it, and recognizing that kind of toxic behavior is an important life skill. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my half-sister that my daughter isn't named after her? My parents gave me and my sister's L names. Say Lisa, Laura, and Lucy for an example. I had minded my husband's daughter when we were 19, and 2 years later, my family learned that my dad had another daughter, our half-sister who was 6 years older than us. Half-sister was Mara. When Mara started getting to know everyone better, she started to feel left out because of the whole name thing, and she told us she was changing her name, which happened to be my daughter's name. I wasn't happy, but I also wasn't in a position to tell her not to. But now she likes to tell people my daughter was named after her. I asked her to stop saying it a few times, but she never gave up saying it and didn't even acknowledge that I had asked her to stop. Then a couple of weeks ago, she brought it up around my kids for the first time, and I told her to stop. That I never named my daughter after her. That she chose the name for herself after my daughter was born, and after we met her. That she needs to stop saying it or we're going to have bigger problems. She said I was always the sister she felt the least close to, and she thought it would bring us closer together. But I told her she went about it in the wrong way. That we were hardly even acquaintances when she chose to do it, never even spoke to me and then expected me to just go along with her lies. She was upset and called me a witch. My dad told me I shouldn't have treated her that way, and that I should be honored she did what she did instead of being annoyed by it. He also told me I'm going to make it harder for us to be closer. I told him that isn't the most upsetting thing to me in the world. Both say I was too harsh when I corrected her so strongly. Am I wrong? Not today, home. You are simply saying the truth. Your half-sister is lying to herself and everyone around her. You are correcting her. I simply can't understand that there are people like that. I've got people like that from my life because I can't stand liars, especially when the lie isn't necessary. It's not even a white lie. It's merely to inflate her importance to the family. Not only is she lying, but that is creepy AF. How do you just take your niece's name and then claim someone named a kid after you? I would have kept my distance if someone, sibling or not, did that. Not today, home. It boggles my mind that people like that exist. I think that if I tried something like that, my soul would immediately vacate my body from sheer embarrassment. I think I've read almost this exact story before, except with a trans woman instead of a stepsister who feels left out. In any case, I'll vote the same way. Not today, home. And trying to claim someone who has had a name longer than you is named after you is ridiculous. Half-sister, we share parents biologically, but I get your point. And yeah, it's just weird and annoying. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for not housing my brother's mistress? My brother, 51 male, his mistress is 47 female, and niece 1-year-old. Backstory. My brother had an affair on his wife, and they have 5 kids. After quitting his job, they moved in with his in-laws. My brother's mistress got pregnant and she also decided to quit her job. Then she was evicted from her previous rental, leaving my niece homeless. My brother's wife decided to try to work things out, and I ended having a lot of family pressure to allow my brother's mistress and my niece move into my rental to try and create a stable environment for my niece. Eventually, I agreed to allow them to move in, with a couple of conditions. 1, pay $500 each month. Most of it goes to the cost of the utilities. 2, no dogs. The mistress quickly agreed since the rent is extremely cheap, and let us know she will be starting her new job soon. The first month I received half the rent, then the last 5 months, nothing at all. It's become a burden for me to keep them there as I'm working additional hours to cover the expenses. My brother's mistress never went to work. I have tried to talk to them, trying to work things out, but it's going nowhere. So I gave his mistress a 30-day notice to move. During that time, I found out she's pregnant with baby number 2. My brother's wife kicked him out and he moved into my rental with his mistress. They didn't leave after the 30-day, and they ignored my attempts to talk to them, so I served another 5-day notice. Still no reply. So I went to the court and filed for an eviction. Since they were served, my phone has not stopped buzzing. Just about every family member is called upset. My dad told me to finish it because he feels like my brother needs to man up and take care of his kids, both from his wife and mistress. My dad also told me to put my kids first. My mom, however, is livid. She told me that I would be responsible if my niece and a new baby will be taken away by CPS. She said my kids are old enough to understand mommy working extra hours in the name of supporting family. She feels like I should continue working overtime and paying for their expenses until the new baby arrives in 7 months. Am I the A for kicking my brother's pregnant mistress to the curb? Now for the comments. Not today, home. Mom, I am not supporting my brother's infidelity and lack of responsibility. I have my own priorities and I'm not going to take food and money from my own kids to support his kids for him. Supporting family also means not betting someone else behind your wife's back. Not bringing two illegitimate children into the world when you have no means to support them, but not expecting handouts from a sibling because you lack the human decency to work. If you feel so strongly about niece and a new baby, then please call CPS and have them placed with you. You can't just as easily provide a home for them while brother or this mistress get their act together. But I have done enough and I won't have you lecturing me on helping when you've done jack squat. So new family rule, take care of your kids. That means I'll take care of mine. And since brother is your son, mom, you take care of him so he can take care of his kids. Not today, home. And I'd be telling Mummy Dearest that if she feels that strongly about it, she can house them and pay for them herself. He's her son after all. And if CPS take the niece and baby, it's because they're bad parents. If your mom feels so strongly, she can house your brother, this mistress, and their babies. Not today, home. Start blocking numbers on your phone and give your mother's number to your brother and tell him she volunteered to look after him at his baby mama and his litter of kids. If your mom complains, tell her you only signed up to look after your kids. End of. Not today, home. And if your mom is so concerned about him, she should get another job and pay for brother and his inability to keep it in his pants. Or she can let them move into her house. Your kids need their mom.